Yeah. Things are looking a little slim out here in the food department today. Yeah. Forest is a little bit bare. Yeah, it's winter time. Yep. Ain't much growing. Yeah, there are some things out here to eat. I hear a crow. You know, a crow would be tasty. Maybe we could set one of them there box traps. Put a little bit of shelled corn under the box and run us a rope back. Maybe get one to chillin' to sit and watch it. And they're crows. They're smart. When they're hungry, they're gonna go for that corn. And then the children can just pull the string, drop that box right on them. It sure would be mighty fine tonight to have a big old pot of crow stew. Yeah, we got some rutabagas, turnips, maybe some carrots left. I think we have some onion. Slap out of garlic though. That goes fast this time of year. Yeah, we got a little bit of dried beef left there in the pantry. You know, we got some ham left. I think we've got a little bit of shoulder left in the smokehouse. Bacon ran out quick this winter. You know, the hogs just didn't fatten up as much out here roaming the woods. And they were a lot smaller this year. Yeah. We ain't seen many of them wild hogs out here like we have in years past. And for some reason, the deer have been scarce. Yeah, it must be because of the acorns. The acorns are scarce this year too. That happens every so often. Yeah. That's why we gotta prepare here. We'll starve. It ain't even hard winter yet. No. That's coming though. You can feel the biting chill in the air in the mornings. You surely can. But I think, you know, got some moss here on the ground. Yeah, if I don't come up with anything better, I ain't going back to the cabin empty-handed. I'll get me some of that there fresh moss. Mama, she can make us some green moss tea, maybe some soup with, you know, a little bit of root vegetables. And that, a little onion flavored and salt, and pepper sack. Yeah, our black pepper sack that we brought down here with us. Oh, we're getting real low. And last time I rode on into town, the dry goods store, they only had two little bitty sachets of it on the shelf. Yeah. They didn't have much dried meat left. It's pretty much all gone. Yeah. Salted butter. Almost slap out too. Even if they would have had some, the year we had with the crops, I wouldn't have been able to afford it. So we just gonna have to butter our bread with some lard this year. It'll be okay. We'll get through. Ever since we trekked on down here to the Southland. Yeah, we've had some hard years. Ain't no doubt, especially in the earlier days. Before old Mr. Adams came and set up the dry goods and emporium, he did, down there near the river in Tallahassee. Yeah, ain't too much of a trek, especially on my mule, old Sadie. She a good old mule. We lost Bethy Ann right after we got down here. Felling trees and getting that cabin built. For that first winter, we didn't even have it finished. I remember that. Whew. Fireplace was only partially done. Oh. Yeah. It's better off being outside. Cutting wood and splitting. Yeah. Plowing, whatever we could. Any type of exercise will keep you warm. Surely it will. Better than sitting in that there dark house. Lamp oil. That's done gone way up. We gotta save that for when we really need to see, at night. And then we gotta watch them children. Make sure they turn those lamps out and snuff those candles. Can't be a wasting that. Never know. And we'll be able to buy more. The times are getting hard. As if they wasn't already hard enough. Yep. Well, like I said, we've always got through. We lost a few along the way. Down south from up there in Pennsylvania. That was a long time ago. Oh yeah. That was some more than 54 years back. Yeah. That was a long trek too. This is as far as we made it. Our hope was to get on down there next to they call it the Gulf Coast. Down there by Mexico, Gulf Mexico. They seem like friendly people, so I've heard. I ain't ever been down far enough that way. It's just tough enough now here with me, the missus, 2 children, just to make ends meet. Trying to survive. Expand our little farm. There's all kinds of things you got to do. You got to make sure you get in early in the spring and tend your crops. Yeah. There's a lot of praying, along with a lot of hard work and sweat, and I won't lie to any man. Now, I've shed a tear or two. Yep. I ain't proud. My daddy said, he'll tell you, boy, real men don't cry. Well, truthful men won't lie that they've cried. Yeah, my whole papa. Yeah, he done passed now. Yeah, one winter just got too tough for him. He just couldn't make the trek no more. And, he had to go meet with the Lord. Yeah, it ain't been all that long back now. I think 6 seasons. Mama passed. She too passed in the darkness of winter. It seems like old folk tend to pass more in the winter. Well, I gotta admit, that is one of the toughest times of the whole year. You know, people, when I went down to the general store, and then I went over to the feed mill, see about if we could get some grits and cornmeal. Maybe they had a little bit of that there. Yankee flour. Yeah. They grow their wheat bears up northern ways. Oh, there we go. That's a beautiful mushroom. Yeah. I'll have to clip that off. Put it in my satchel. Mama can add that to the soup or stew tonight, depending on how the kids come with the crow catching. Yeah, ain't nothing bad about crow. Mama got a good recipe there. Yes, she does. It's all dark meat. Nice and juicy. Hell, you never know. Might catch a raccoon up in trees. Or maybe a possum. Yeah. I guess groceries out here, especially in the meat. Deer being slim, wild boar. Yep. I ain't seen a black bear in seasons. People must done ate all the bear. Of course, they tasty too. One must admit. Can't beat those hides. Put on the bed. Yeah, they'll keep you warm in the winter like no other. I gotta get some more straw. Plump up the bed a little. Me and the wife. The back's been bothering a little lately. That woman, she's one hard worker. There ain't a minute that goes by. From sun up to sundown beyond, she ain't doing something. Yeah, I don't want to go back home today and disappoint her again. She's been looking forward to some meat. Ain't looking good. But hey, I can still go in the smokehouse. We still got that one small ham. I can carve off a little tonight, so she ain't too disappointed in me. I still got several hours of daylight left, and I'm a little tuckered, but I can trek more. You never know what I'll, stir up. This musket's getting heavy. Yeah, I ain't as young as I once was. I think last time I recollect, I'm getting on close to 66 winters myself. Whew. Yeah. It escapes me now whether this is my 65th or my 66th. It really don't matter. I had to cinch up the belt another notch today. I didn't say nothing to Mother. Yeah. She just worried more. And she don't need that. But as long as you know, the children, and she's fed, well, you know, I can eat me some of the yellow bark, you know. I can make me some new pine tea. Yeah. You know, I was down there talking to Doc, and he was telling me he got a new one of them there medical journals in. Something about the New England Journal of Medicine. And they were talking about how you get stuff like vitamin C from pine needles. Yeah. I found that quite interesting. I don't get into town much, a couple times a year. And it ain't to visit. It's just to pick up any supplies that, you know, we gotta have. A lot of times it's just the basics, you know, like salt, you know, flour. Mama likes making white bread now. Every once in a while. It's a special treat. Cornmeal, you know, because sometimes we got to hold back our corn. Save it for the livestock. Or they'll starve too. And then what will we do next year? How will we, you know, have spring litters? You see, it all can come crashing down so fast. You gotta stay all on top of it. As I get older, it's a good thing my boy, James, yeah, he's become quite a grown man. Got a good business head on. Got a lot of them there newfangled ideas. And I don't know if they're gonna prove out or not, but it don't bother me much. We give him a little parcel of land, let him, you know, see what he can do with it. You know, my daughter Ashley, she's turned out to be quite a little lady herself. She can cook up a storm like a mama. Well, so can my boy James. He surely can. Yep. You gotta have them skills these days. Otherwise, you may starve and die. It's just been quiet today in the forest, all except the call of a crow from time to time. I ain't even heard no birdies. They must all be somewhere else. Not sure where they would go. Well, I can see that sun getting lower in the sky. Ain't gonna be too much longer. It's gonna be down on me. You don't wanna be out in these woods once it sets dark. Can't even see your hand in front of your nose. I better start trekking back to the cabin. Of course, it does get dark. Well, I know Mama, she'll put a coal oil lantern out there on the porch for me. Yep, she surely will. Well, is that it? I can see it through the woods. I can smell the smoke from the chimney. Yeah, I really hate it. Coming home with what little bit I got. Just some mushrooms and moss and some new pine. It'll add flavoring to a humble pot of soup and stew. Yeah, we'll break some of them rutabagas, turnips out of the cellar. Maybe a little bit of onion, pinch of pepper, some salt. Well, I know Mama's probably got some cornbread in the Dutch oven on the hearth. Cooking up right now. Yeah. Yeah, I'm gonna have to get the sun there. Pull some water up from the well. Fill up the water barrel up there on the breezeway. Got to keep that water barrel filled. Then I done talked to him. You just can't run out of water. No, you can't. Yeah. I made it back home. It's been a long day. And it wasn't too productive. Sort of embarrassed to even go in. I'll tread lightly for now. Yeah. I'll take a little breather out here on the front porch. Catch my breath. Maybe James will come home with a crow. That'd be a good thing. I didn't even see a squirrel out there. Not nary a one anymore. They've been getting slimmer last couple of seasons too. Seems like I'm having to trek further into the forest every year just to keep us fed. Well, like I say, we've had tougher than this. Made it through then. We'll make it through again. God willing. Well, hello there, friends and family. So glad to see you again. Imagine running into you. In the year 1845 we are. And for those of you new to the channel, you probably don't recognize the old place. Yep. This is the Patterson Log Cabin, built in 1845. Now, you may wonder what the old man was up to. What was all that about that you just saw? Well, you know, yesterday I had some surprising experiences at our local grocery store. Things I hadn't seen in 2 years. Some things were a little bit shocking. Yep. Surprising, you might say more. And, you know, made me a little anxious there from time to time, which I got over quickly when I came home. You know, with the help of the kitty crew, my feathered friends, and you know, all my bird friends. As well as my friends and family, like all of you. But after getting up this morning, getting my morning coffee done, and that I do like I do most mornings, start reading all the comments. And I read them all. If you got one of them little red hearts, I read it. And I respond to as many as I can, especially the ones that ask questions. But anywho, as always, and I have said during that video, I knew some would take offense to a portion of that video. I'd prepared myself for that and really don't care. You know, they can be them, like I said, and I'll be me. We all have choices to make in life. But then I went out and fed the kitty crew and started working in the yard. Yep. You have to forgive me. I got my work clothes on. It's the second day in a row. But like most batches, I gave them a little sniff. They weren't too offensive, so I threw them back on for another day to have a go. Anyway, I came on in, made me a little sandwich. Not much. One of them ham sandwiches. I think I shared that with y'all. On the community page, of course, one stacked up that big. Might have had to take a nap. And then I thought, it is a beautiful day today. Yeah, sky is just crystal blue clear. Light breeze, 62 degrees. Got a little breeze, not bad. And I thought, what better day? It's been forever. In fact, it was last winter that we walked through the big woods. So I thought, today, I need to get out. I need to be doing some more walking. It's good for you. And drop a little bit of weight, starting to get a tummy on me. And that, and while I was out there trekking through it, it came to my mind, we think it's hard now. We think this is a crisis. We see some bare shelves, some holes, some things, we really don't need, but we'd enjoy. Basically, they're wants. And as I kept walking, kept thinking back to the times in this era, how hard it was for those who trekked across this great land to establish the first settlements. Yeah. All down the eastern coast into the Southlands. Those who trekked from northeastern states. My family, half of them were part of that. Yep. So got some personal experiences there. Yep. Back in it was before the Civil War. Not sure when. The family was a little cloudy on it. But at that time, up in Pennsylvania, family was run by two brothers. Yeah. Both of them equally. The oldest men being the ones who governed the family. That's just how it was for our family. We was from Europe, of Germanic heritage. Go far enough back. Yeah. Anglo-Saxon we were, I believe. Anyway, at one point in time they called us barbarians, they did. But there was a disagreement and the family split in two. One of the brothers wanted to go out west. He heard about, the Gold Coast. Just pick up gold and silver. You could just throw seeds in the ground, do nothing. They just sprout up and offer you a bountiful harvest. So, family split. And half of our family, which was extremely large, and lived throughout central and northwestern Pennsylvania, even up into what's now New York State, decided they would set out and go west. And the first leg of that journey would bring them down St. Louis, Missouri, it would. Sort of the jumping off spot for the western trails. And it was at that point, depending on your decision that you made, you see, you could decide to take the southern trail, which would bring you down through the Indian Territories, which is now Oklahoma, into Texas. Yeah. Or, that was called the lower southern route. Oh, here, let me get my notes. Yeah, that was called the Southern Trail. It went down through Texas And that, the first stop would have been El Paso. And apparently somebody from the family dropped out. And they stayed behind in El Paso. Yeah, they surely did. But that wouldn't be the first time. See, some cousins, uncles, or what have you dropped out along the first leg of that trek from Pennsylvania to St. Louis. Decided to stay in Ohio, which I must admit was a pretty place. Probably made a good decision. But then the others made it all down to St. Louis. Where here again they sort of split, and some went down the lower southern trail, like I said, through Indian Territory, and what was Indian Territory then. That was before the great Oklahoma land rush into Texas. And anyway, then they would cross over into the New Mexico Territory. Yeah, and then on into California, they did, in Los Angeles. Now as we call it, Los Angeles, where they would finally stop. Later on, a few even trekked further north up to a place called Sacramento, they did. Now, part of the family that stayed in St. Louis, some of them decided to go on that Oregon Trail. Yeah, they did. Which was the most northern trail. Yep. And you could take it on up to a place called Fort Hall. Not remembering right where that's at. And there you could decide to switch off and take the trail to Northern California, or continue northward to Oregon. It was at that point, that group, some of them decided to go to Northern California, and some of them decided to push on up to Oregon, they did, before it all settled out. But can you imagine? They were in wagons, most of which, unlike modern day television and movies, were pulled by oxen. Yeah. Which, if you don't know, are castrated bulls. Yeah, they were called oxen back then. They were beasts of burden. They may have had a horse, most likely a mule, and they carried everything they owned in their wagons or on their backs. You know, a lot of them walked beside those wagons all the way. And many of them died for the promise of the new lands. They weren't settled with where they were, weren't satisfied. Or they had a wanderlust or just a yearning for new horizons. Yeah, so life really ain't changed. But, you know, did they have their wagon stacked to the rafters or the bows? Well, yeah, they did. Primarily, most of it was food. And it wasn't food like anything we'd think of. It was the basics food. And I thought about that as I walked through that big woods today. And I made a list. And you'll find lists. They're all about the same. But I know from family records and journals and diaries that based on your ethnicity, you know, where you actually came from prior to coming to the New World, and, you know, like I say, family ethnicity, ancestry, different things too were brought along as you trekked southward or westward. I mean, the primary things was like anywhere, and this all depended on how large your family was too. But what they recommended, and some of those there wagon trains that they put together and trail bosses They had mandatory lists, and that's what I'm going to read you now. This is what you had to have if you wanted to set out along the trail. They had to have 120 to 220 pounds of flour in canvas sacks. No, they weren't vacuum sealed, folks. They weren't in 5-gallon buckets. No. 30 pounds of hardtack. And a lot of people get hardtack confused with jerky. No. Hardtack was basically a cracker that was so darn hard you couldn't bite it. You had to soak it in water, soften it up some before you could chew it or break some off, crack it off with your knife or a hatchet, put the piece in your mouth, let your saliva soften it up so you could chew it up. Yeah. Then they'd have, here this list says 25 to 75 pounds of bacon, but I know, since I'm a scholar of history, it's something I love to read and have spent a lot of time in my life enjoying. Most likely, we say bacon. They'd have been carrying salt pork, which is sort of kind of like bacon on the real low end, like that stuff we see where it's mostly fat with one little bitty stripe of meat on it. Yeah, that'd been salt pork. You see me cook with it on one of my recipes. Half a bushel of cornmeal. And then here again, they say 10 to 50 pounds of rice. I think my family, they probably weren't toting rice. Being, of their origin and where they came from, I'm figuring they probably would have had them some potatoes, stuff like rutabagas, turnips. They'll store a long time. Yeah, that's my thought. And then they say here 2 pounds of celery. That's not sure I'm pronouncing that right, but it was an early form of baking soda. Yeah, I can see that, because back in those days, baking soda was the primary leveling agent for your biscuits and your bread. And their biscuits and bread weren't quite like our biscuits and bread today. You have to look all that up. 10 pounds of salt. Gotta have the salt. Animals gotta have it too. 25 pounds of sugar. And I've often thought about that. You see, we got all kinds of things to sweeten things up, make life a little sweeter. And we still complain. We have honeys, we have artificial sweeteners, all kinds of stuff. And they're all readily available. But they didn't have back then. Yeah, they had blackstrap molasses. And it's sweet. Not quite as sweet as you would think, No, it ain't. You may have some in your house. I got some in my cupboard, above the counter. But I can remember, as a wee child, and all through my childhood, growing up, before I left home, Mama would make sugar cookies. And I mean sugar cookies. We didn't have chocolate chip, except maybe once or twice a year. Well, we didn't have cookies in general, but a couple times a year. Them sugar cookies. Yeah, we didn't have snickerdoodles and eclairs and pecan sandies and list goes on and on. Peanut. Now, yeah, every once in a while we'd have peanut butter cookies. That'd be about once a year. Ooh, Mama could make some peanut butter cookies. So yeah, I can see how important sugar would have been to give them a little bit of sweetness in their life. Excuse the rustling of the paper. 2 pounds of tea. Yep, I can see my family doing that. My mama, my grandmother, and my great-grand, they loved their tea. So that had to come. 5 to 15 pounds of coffee, of course. The men, and women, even children back then, drank coffee. 1 to 2 bushels of dried fruit. And they say here, often apples, and I can see that happening. But like in my family, I'm thinking, and from stories that were told, like say journals and diaries, dried pears. One that I know almost every settler took, somebody in the train, wagon that is, would have them some dried prunes. Oh yeah, because based on what you were eating, there was a real threat of things getting bound up. And of course, prunes were the number one thing help you alleviate that problem. Now, I remember that growing up too. My great-grandmother. Yep. She'd be doling out them prunes. Yeah, when you're a little kid, yeah, they take some getting used to. Now, I keep prunes on hand too. I'm getting old. Got to keep things moving. But then they'd have, 1 to 2 bushels of dried beans of some type. Vinegar, butter, preserved in tin canisters. That was probably for the more wealthier folk. I figured my peoples, were probably toting tins of lard. Because I've read the stories. Buttering up the bread with lard. And that was prevalent not only with poor folk up north and all along the trail, but here in the south. I've done it a time or two and made some tasty toast, if you ever want to try it. Might like it. And then they'd have pepper. Yep, black pepper. Not a lot, but some. And some other basic spices. And some that were not devout religious may have whiskey or brandy. Yeah, I can see my family toting some of that along, and I can actually probably hear my ancestral elders saying, Mama, it's for medicinal purposes, sanitizing, cuts and wounds. You just never know what's going to happen out on the trail. I can definitely hear my grandfather saying that to my grandmother, or my daddy to my mama. Yeah, there'd been some whiskey along in the wagon, I'm sure. And that's what they had. It's all they had. And if they were fortunate enough, they might have had some dried pork, salt cured, some dried beef, yeah, maybe even some dried fish. Much as they could afford, or whatever they had on hand when they set out upon the trail. So, hey, there was some hunting going along too. And if they had a good hunting session, hey, not only did they eat good, but I'm sure they shared with their neighbors. Surely they did. Oh, I gotta get up. My butt's hurting a little bit. Pardon me. We'll stretch our legs a little bit, not that we haven't stretched them enough. And walk out here on the front porch. I wish I had this big of a porch. I used to. On farmhouses. That big old one sat on the hill in southern Tennessee. And that was an old place too. Not quite as old as this, but it was close. The second farm had a modern day house. Yeah, one of them there brick ranchers. It had a sizable front porch, but not like this. And that. And of course you see the tiny porch I got. Considering it's just me now and the kitty crew, plenty big enough that, y'all can all pull up some lawn chairs, sit out in the yard under the oak tree. Got to go out here and check the well, I told James, make sure that cistern was filled up on the end of the porch there. I just noticed it ain't quite full yet. Hopefully, the well ain't run dry. And see, that was another part of life. that they had to worry about. See, they didn't have to worry about going to the store, looking down the aisle and going, oh my God, there's no bottled water. Yeah. I often think when I'm out here at the cabin or walking through the woods, if they could even withstand seeing the marvels and the bounty. You know? It's just like during this time, if they were lucky, they had a settlement, maybe a stagecoach stop, you know, here in Tallahassee. The town sprung up. You know, they had a general store, dry goods and emporium, you know, back in that time period. They had a feed mill, you know, grist mill, grind up the feed for people and animals, yeah. Of course, they took their tally in flour and meal, too. That's how you paid for it. They took so much, you got what was left. What choice did you have? If you've ever tried to grind up cornmeal in one of those hand, and I'm not talking about a hand grinder, I'm talking about a mortar and pestle, which would be similar. Well, almost exact what our Native American brothers and sisters did. And I can say that being part Cherokee. So there you go, folks. But a lot of times they go on down to dry goods store and general stores, you heard. You know, when my ancestors out there trekking in the big woods earlier, wasn't much when he went on into town. But pretty much the shelves were bare. Couldn't get much. And then, as you heard, he didn't have a good day hunting. Winter's setting in. There ain't nothing growing. You know, all he found was some mushrooms and moss and some pine needles. But see, they made do. And they'd have their root cellar, vegetable crops they grew, you know. Keep up stores as long as they could. Of course, you know, they knew what area and what climate you could grow certain things. Have you ever wondered why sweet potatoes were so prevalent in the South instead of white taters? White taters grow better further up north. Yeah, you can grow them down here. And I see on YouTube and Instagram and all that, and they'll just be prouder than heck they got 20 pounds. You can go up to Idaho. I mean, you just pop that potato harvester in, and I don't think it's got to go very far. You got 200 pounds. Yeah, they'll grow down here, but not quite as well as they grow in certain climates and areas. That's why Idaho is so famous for potatoes, as well as there's a place up there, I think it's called the Red River Valley, that is real famous for taters too. And there are other things. But it made me feel better today coming out and walking in the woods and remembering what it was like for my ancestors. You know? They didn't even have a hundredth of the opportunity at any store to buy anything like we have. No. They surely didn't. And not only did they survive, they thrived. And the vast majority of us are here now because they did just that. So, the whole point of the video is to remind myself, remind my family, my son, my daughter, my grandson, which I hope will watch the video, and now you, my friends and family, remember back. Think about it. Maybe, and I used to do this with the children, and that, we'd have Pioneer Day. Yep. We'd do things like go out in the woods. Sometimes they call them Frontier Days. And that. And we'd do foraging. Yeah. Depending on what time of year, we might be doing some trapping too. Yep. I've done that. I've set snares. Box traps. And I showed the kids how to do a box trap. Bait it. And wait for the crows. Starlings. Yeah, starling's a little smaller. But hey, don't knock it till you try it. Yeah, and I'll tell you, I've ate possum. I've ate raccoon. I've ate squirrel. All of it's pretty tasty if done properly. And they knew how to do that back then, far better than modern day folks do now. Some just make a greasy mess out of it all. It's so dry, you can't choke it down. But, oh, I've had beaver, and I'm going to tell you what, beaver's right on up there tasty. Yes, it is. I'd enjoy beaver again. I've actually looked for it online. Because slap out of beavers here close to me. If there ever was any. Not sure. Oh. Maybe one day, after I get my place spruced up this winter, now I'll come up here and pick up some limbs too. Throw them in the back of the truck. Take them over. Have a little fire. We're going to have a little fire, 2 of them, here shortly anyway. Burn off my 2 piles. And then I'll make new piles. So we're going to be doing a lot of trimming up. Tidying up. Getting ready for next year. Just waiting for the leaves to fall all the way off. Let me show you these oak trees. See those right there? Ain't much of their leaves fell. But if you look out at those out there on the perimeter, yep, they ain't got a one. Yeah, they're different species though. This one here, these keep their leaves. I think they call these pin oaks, if I remember correctly. They got the little narrow leaves on them. Down here they tend to keep the majority of their leaves on all year long unless we get a deep hard freeze like we did last year, you know, down low 20s, and that'll strip them off just like it did mine. Other than that, they just continuously fall off through the winter and then are replaced in the spring. They never all turn brown, as you can see. It's actually beautiful to see it this time of year against what's becoming the stark brown and gray contrast of winter. Of course, I mean, you can see the cedars out there, magnolias and such. There is some green. Yeah, if Dave was down, I was going to ask a friend if I cut down a real cedar tree. Have old-fashioned Christmas. I ain't done that since the kids were young. And I owned farms myself. I used to love going out and selecting the tree and then cutting it on down, dragging it back, putting it in the stand, and of course there'd be popcorn made to string, and the wife would have, you know, a humble meat and cheese board made up. Depending on our money situation, might be saltines, or since it was the holidays, hey, we'd have some Ritz, Triscuits, yeah, Sociables, maybe even some of them Cheez-Its we all love. Yeah, there's a fine cedar right there. Yep. That'd make a glorious tree. Or just come out here and decorate it. And let it be. So y'all, I hope you enjoyed my little reenactment at the beginning of the video. Hope you enjoyed seeing some. An actual log cabin built back when this land was settled. But like I said, I hope you did enjoy the video. Little reenactment we had. I ain't much of an actor and that, but I do my best to entertain. Throw in some informative information there for you. Try to ease your mind, which is the point of the video. Before you get all panicked and anxious and go crazy, spend more than you need to, or what you have, look back into the ways it was. Step off in your pantry, your kitchen, your basement, your root cellar, your storage unit, and go, I'm good. I mean, just drag out the basics that I listed earlier and try living off them a week, just them. No fast food, no processed food, just from that list, you know, for the weekend. I mean, come on now. I'll tell you what, I'll do it for a weekend if y'all do it for a weekend. We'll wait till after Christmas and New Year's is over, okay? I'll at least make it that easy on you. And then I'm going to announce it on the community page. And I'm going to see how many of my community will step up and live like it was 200 or more years ago for 2 days. Think about the money we'll save. I'm sure by the time it's over, we'll be a lot more grateful than we were before we started. So I got to pick up a water bottle here that my beautiful, kind daughter and grandson gave me. I showed this in other, walkabouts in big woods last year. Jam up, clips to my belt. Got a little paracord right there where, like I did today, just let it tote it. Can also be used as a self-defense. Filled up with water, it's heavy. Now what you didn't see, because I keep it secret to myself, is you didn't see me fill it up with crystal clear spring water. You didn't. That's my secret place of solitude. My son and daughter have been there. I ain't never carried my grandson there. I always meant to. Hoping still will. I got a few years left in this old bod of mine. Surely do. So I think, good Lord willing, He'll grant me that. So, this day is coming to an end. I got to take her on in to the real home place. Check how that pork butt's doing. She's all rubbed up with some amazing rub I know you're going to enjoy. In fact, I decided to break that video in two. Tomorrow, if y'all want to stop by, you can. And I'll show you how to put the rub all together. How to prepare that pork butt. And then get her all pre-prepped so we can do some slow cooker, pulled pork. Yeah, that'll make you dream at night for more. So y'all take care out there. Stay safe, and I mean that. And I'm worried about a couple. Ain't heard from them in about 5-6 days. And based on our ages and situations and health issues, whenever I don't hear from some that I used to hearing from quite often, it really starts to worry me. But all I can do is pray they're safe and well, that they didn't suffer from those storms or an adverse health issue. Pray for our community. Pray for our nation, your friends, family, and loved ones, and the world as a whole. And stay safe. God bless each and every one of you as you bless others. Until Gracie, yeah, Speedy Spooky, Cleo, which was around today, being curmudgeon-y, Magoo, he's here, and now Mr. Gray, or at least as of last night, he's not real popular. See y'all on the next video. Goodbye for now.